Today we're making the ginger and scallion stir-fry beef, aka 葱姜炒牛肉. You've never heard about it? Well, you've been missing out one of the tastiest Chinese recipes ever. But I'm sure you probably heard about a much more popular name, the Mongolian beef. Mongolian beef and similar recipes started to become very popular overseas with the appearance of Mongolian barbecue-style restaurants, where they would serve super tasty food cooked on high heat on these big, huge, round iron griddles. Right, so Mongolian beef and ginger scallion stir-fry beef. What's the deal here? What's the difference? Is Mongolian beef even a Chinese dish at all? So sit down and relax because we're gonna dive into this recipe right now, understanding how to make this at home without using a massive, huge iron griddle, because you don't have one, right? Instead, we're just gonna be using a normal wok. And of course, we're gonna be addressing all the questions that you might have on this recipe and on its background. This video is sponsored by nobody. This is the reason why pressing the like button is gonna make a huge difference for us, for this channel, in growing the community. So you get that. You're good. You're good. You're good. You got it. Smash the like button. Can't stop it. And by subscribing to our channel with the other button. Not stopping either. Which is free, by the way. You'll be connected with us and you'll receive a notification whenever we send out the new weekly video. Because we're doing this weekly, right? Yeah. We're doing it. Okay. Let's start with the cooking! What we did first was getting all the ingredients ready. As you can see from this footage, it was a pretty much straightforward recipe. And the name itself, Ginger Scallion Beef Stir-fry, it's really telling you about this recipe. It's gonna be Ginger Scallion Beef Stir-fry. You're good. We started off by cutting some big chunks of scallions by diagonal cuts. Cutting the scallions into diagonal parts was something not random, but we did it on purpose. We wanted to make sure that the inside softer parts are gonna be in close touch with the high heat while cooking, and that is going to be helping us out with extracting all the aromas out of the scallions. It was then time to peel some ginger and cut it into thin slices. You could choose to cut the ginger into shreds if you feel like having a stronger ginger aroma. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Come on. The third ingredient was the green onions that we cut into chunks and we set aside in two separate bowls. Why separating the green onions in two separate bowls? What is wrong with you, Gianluca? We did that because we wanted to separate the green parts of the onions, of the green onions, because green onions have green parts, you're good. The green parts, the green leaves of the onions on one side, and the white parts, the rest of the onion chunks on the other bowl. And by now you've probably realized how we're diverting from the Mongolian beef, and here's the differences. Most of the recipes of the Mongolian beef are using regular onions instead of scallions and green onions. Mongolian beef recipes usually include some green peppers or red peppers inside as well. The third difference is more to do with the texture and the flavor of the meat. In the Mongolian beef recipes, the meat is actually much more sweeter as it is surrounded by a sweet glaze, and sometimes the meat can be crispier rather than soft. But hey, we're not making Mongolian beef here. We're making ginger and scallion stir-fry beef. 葱姜炒牛肉. It was then time to cut the beef. Here the trick is to buy some meat cuts that are particularly tender, like the fillet, the tenderloin, sirloin, flank, and so on. We needed to cut the beef into thin slices. Well, if you don't feel comfortable like doing this kind of raw cutting, there's a trick for you. Place the beef into the freezer for 30 minutes and go ahead with it. See? Easy. A piece of cake. No, piece of beef. Besides the bad jokes, now it's time for the cooking. Wrong, not really. It is the time for marinating the meat, which is much more important than the cooking. Do not underestimate this step because it's going to make a big difference in the texture as well as the flavor of the meat. You want to have the nice, juicy, tender and savory. Yeah, that's the right word, savory. That umami sensation in your mouth that is just boom, exploding. We started by rinsing the beef into water by adding some Shaoxing wine and squeezing everything to remove the excess blood. And here you might be arguing, some people do not suggest to wash the meat, to rinse the meat. Do not worry about that, just do as you want. It was time for me to start marinating the meat. Salt, sugar, white pepper, egg white first. Massaging everything and making sure that the meat would absorb all these ingredients, while letting the egg white do its job and tenderize the meat. Then step by step we added some water, but most important of all, we kept mixing it, letting the meat absorb that water some cornstarch, the dark soy sauce for a nice dark color, and finally the sesame oil to close it out. The sauce that we're gonna be using for this recipe is particularly easy. We just use some oyster sauce, water, and some soy sauce, both light and dark. And you know the differences between light soy sauce and dark soy sauce, right? The color? Yeah, you got it. Yeah, the color. No, that's just one of the differences. The main difference is that light soy sauce is giving you the savory umami flavor, and the dark soy sauce is for the richer, the darker, the color, the texture. You get that, right? At this stage, you're probably saying deep frying, you know, don't like frying, you know, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we love deep frying. We have completely love with deep frying, so we just went for it. But of course, we also understand your needs, and, you know, if you prefer, just use your air fryer, oven, grill, use your neighbor's kitchen, you know, do anything you want. But frying the meat in this way will keep the juice inside, making the meat super, super tender. You gotta try this. But make sure you do not overcook the meat. We wanna keep it pink. We do not want to overcook it. You wanna keep the juice inside. You wanna make it so juicy and tender that you're gonna be going like, what the heck wrong with this meat? Beautiful. And also because we're going to be placing back to the wok for the final stir fry. And since we talked about the wok, it was time to get a wok. And actually the wok was the same wok as the wok that we used before for the deep fry. I mean, we just have one wok here, come on. So we took the same wok, we removed the oil away, throw in the wok the ginger slices like you were the most famous street food vendors in China ever. Make sure that you keep the wok on high heat and roast the ginger slices. Roast the out of them. In other words, make sure that the aromas are coming out. Couple of minutes and throw in the scallions as well as the white parts of the green onions. White parts of the green onions. Make sure that you use this bowl, not this bowl with the green leaves of the green onions. Give it a good stir fry and make sure that these onions and scallions are exploding with flavors and aromas into your wok. Turn the wok into medium heat and add some oil at this stage, preparing for the final stir. Meat inside and get back on high heat. We pour some Shaoxing wine on the perimeter of the wok to help us out with the cooking. Using Shaoxing wine here is also going to help us by bringing the aromas from the bottom of the wok into the meat inside, infusing all these flavors all together. Then we went straight with the green onions, the green parts. And finally the sauce. Give it a good stir and look at that. Whoa. I mean, spectacular. See, the great thing about this dish is that predominant flavors are still about ginger, scallions, rather than soy sauce, oyster sauce, and too much of sweet notes. And I believe this is the main point of difference between this recipe and the Mongolian beef stir-fry, which, to be honest with you, has nothing to do with the authentic Mongolian cuisine. It is rather a westernized version of Chinese cuisine. The fake one? Fake one? I didn't say that. You said that. Didn't say that. I literally ate it all, and just the smell was worth the whole cooking process. It was so nice to have the tender beef with the crunchy ginger and the soy sauce infused with all the aromas. If you enjoyed this recipe and you would like to see more recipes about authentic Chinese food cultures or Western adaptation of Chinese cuisine, just stick with the channel, press on the subscribe button, and do not forget to give us a like because you're the sponsor of this video. My name is Gianluca, and you probably know that by now. I'm from Chinese, and we're gonna connect the dots between you and authentic Chinese cuisine. And by the time you're gonna be sending out this video, it's probably gonna be Christmas time to you. So me and my team would like to wish you a Merry Christmas. Me, my team, to you, your families. Be happy, have a nice, spicy and Merry Christmas.